This is Sports Overserved with your hosts, Philip and Matt.
All right, well, welcome everybody. This is the first episode of Sports Overserved. We're excited here. My name's Matt. We got Philip here next to us.
Hello, sports world.
We're on the balcony here in Highland Park area, Dallas, Texas, in the middle of a beautiful Memorial Day weekend.
Well,
now, I hate to take a break so quick here, Phil, but everyone out there listening, press pause.
Okay.
Grab a drink.
I have one.
Okay, don't get orange juice, don't get coconut water, nothing like that. I'm talking about an adult beverage. Go get one and get ready for this show. Because here on SOS, we talk about sports in the same way we watch them. We got a few drinks in us. And there's going to be a few more going down throughout the show, but we'll get into that later. Okay? Now, right now we're going to get into the NFL draft. We're going to go all the way from A to Zeke.
Yes.
And what better place to start than what the Cowboys did with the number 4 pick? We got unfortunately for me, a running back with the 4th pick in the NFL draft. Now, Philip, take it away from here.
Well, I mean, the longer I think about Zeke, the more I want him. Think about it. I mean, we have a team that's built on running the ball. We run the ball well. We have an offensive line that likes to run the ball. That's probably the best offensive line in football. We have the best college prospect for a running back that we drafted, and it's Zeke Elliott. The kid had 1,800 yards last year as a junior, over 23 touchdowns, runs a 4.47. I mean, he's who you want, Matt. Who else would you want for this team?
Well, I know, and I heard somebody talking to me, and they said, oh, well, remember the Cowboys that won the Super Bowls? Who'd we have? We picked up Tony Dorsett, and we picked up Emmitt Smith. And yes, we did. Now, Tony Dorsett was a number 2 pick, but Emmitt Smith was 17. Yeah. Now, if we took Ezekiel Elliott at 17, great pick. Taking a running back in the first 5 picks, that's crazy.
It would have been crazy if you didn't have the infrastructure to have a running back like this kid, Zeke, to propel this Cowboys team like we did in 2014. Yes, if we didn't have the offensive line, if we didn't have a franchise quarterback, if we didn't have Dez Bryant and Jason Witten that we're looking at, I mean, think about, I dream about these play action, Zeke, a play action where you have all front 8 coming in, you have Dez man, you have Terrence Williams man, you have Jason Witten just floating in the middle. I mean, that is a recipe for success for this team. Now, should we have gone defense? Maybe. Is that a bigger need? Yes, but you're not going to fix a draft with one player in 1 year. Romo has 2 or 3 years left. Let's go with what works. We know what works. It worked in 2014. We were 12-4. We won the East. We were a catch away.
No, we weren't a catch away. We were a bad call away.
Bad call away from being an NFC championship where we played Seattle, where we beat them earlier the first time in a couple years. This is our recipe. This worked in the 90s. It's going to work now. A balanced offense with a great running attack. This kid, yes, he may not have a year that DeMarco Murray had in 2014, 2,200 overall yards. And I think he's going to land anywhere between McFadden's numbers, almost 1,100 yards rushing last year. I think he'll fall somewhere in between. But fantasy football is picking him as a top 10 overall player in the NFL. And you're telling me he's not a top 10 pick for this year's draft?
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. In the 90s, we had a great balanced attack. You know what we also had? A great defense. Darren Woodson, yes. Charles Haley, Russell Maryland, Leon Lett, I mean, an idiot.
James Washington, yep. I mean, everyone.
Who was the MVP? Larry Brown.
Well, 95, yeah, 95,
well,
yeah.
Every year. Not 95, it was 93.
Well, no, it was 95, but we won't argue Cowboy trivia with Cowboy Phil here. But
all right, we'll look that up later.
No, okay. I can tell you now.
Deion Sanders, I mean, these players we had.
Defense matters, yes. But we know what works for this team, and that's Romo being upright. We're not gonna have a top tier defense in 1 year, in 1 month, in a draft, and free agency. It's not gonna happen. Do what works for us. We run the ball well. We have 4 Pro Bowl caliber offensive linemen. We have a great quarterback. We have a top-notch receiver in Dez if he's healthy. Run the ball.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a number. So number 4 pick was Ezekiel Elliott, right? Yeah. So I'm going to add just a little extra to that. So 4.6. Can you guess what that is?
Yards per carry, probably.
Yards per carry for Darren McFadden.
Okay.
What I'm saying, you can put any back behind.
Well, can I give you another average?
Give me another one.
3.0. That's the number of touchdowns McFadden had. He's not a game-changing running back. Is he a Band-Aid fix? Absolutely. Great. We lost DeMarco. We need a running back on the fly. He's a good pick.
Is
he a Super Bowl caliber game-changing running back? No, he's not.
It's 3.0 because he couldn't punch it in. You know what we did before the draft? We got Alfred Morris so we could have somebody to punch it in inside 5 yards because Darren McFadden couldn't do that, and we knew he couldn't do that.
Or we could get the best running back possibly in the draft in the last 15 or 20 years. What? Why not? He can pick up the blitz. He's a great pass-catching running back.
He's going to be better than Adrian Peterson.
He scored 4 touchdowns against Alabama in a bowl game. How many running backs have done that recently? No one. That's a great... You got to go with what works, and he works. For this team, we've invested heavily in our offensive line. Why not get the best college prospect running back there is? Now, should we have picked Ramsey? Now looking back, do you want a cornerback and slash safety with meniscus issues? Was Bosa? Well, he wasn't even on the board. So who's left? Who's a game-changing player that's left in the top 10 that's not Ezekiel Elliott? There's none. So why not choose a player that fits your formula for success? And we've seen it work in the 90s. We've seen it work a couple years ago. You know what? If you hand him the ball 25 times a game, you're going to see him get 1,300 to 1,400 yards a year.
That'd be less than 4.6 yards per carry.
But you know what? Wear and tear. That's what those decent...
Wear and tear, okay. But, I mean, what's crazy, though, is McFadden did it, not even with a full season. He did it with like 2/3 of a season. He didn't rush the ball for more than 10 times a carry before Game 6. It's just, it seems like such a waste in the first round to go get a running back when running backs are dime a dozen now. They are.
Normal running backs, yeah. Zeke's not that guy.
Okay.
I'm drinking the Zeke Kool-Aid because, I've seen what he can do. And I'm also looking at what was on the board at the time. And for game-changing, you got to think Romo has 2 to 3. I know he says 4 to 5. Heard him in an interview last week. He said 8. Scared me half to death. But realistically, we're talking about 2 to 3 years. The best thing for Romo is not a great defense. Our defense, we have Marinelli. He's going to do what he's going to do. We're going to be a middle-rated defense, 15 to 17 type defense. Zeke is a game-changing running back that can change our offense, make us one of the most dynamic offenses, balanced offenses in the league. You got to go with it. You have to.
I think you're saying that there wasn't anybody on the board besides Zeke.
Yeah, Bosa.
What do you do in that situation? Trade down.
Well, you got to have it takes 2 to tango. You got to find a trade partner.
We had a trade partner in Baltimore.
For who? Matt, at the same time, so you trade 4 spots, 5 spots. Who are you looking for then?
Yeah, but you're getting somebody else in return.
The Cowboys were in a unique situation to be a title contending team, potentially being at the 4th pick. You don't draft for later rounds. You go now. You go for the jugular now. Zeke is that move. It's very Romo friendly. It's what we do.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right. I think Ezekiel is going to be great.
He will. Top 10 fantasy player.
Early.
Top 10.
I feel so. Before the season started, there's definitely we get some bets going on Ezekiel between me and you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like
yards per carry, I think it's going to be. I can feel that coming on.
There's going to be something. There's definitely something with the fantasy points and everything like that. All I know is I'm going to probably be eating at some nice steakhouse somewhere on your dime. Sometime here in the next year. Well, I might not. It might not be in the next year because you take forever to pay on bets. But
that's not true. Okay, sometimes.
You still owe me a bet from last year's finals.
I'm waiting for the right timing. I want it to be special, Matt.
Okay. Well, hey, it might be special sometime soon. So, but before we get into the rest of the draft, we're going to get into all of that in just a minute.
You're listening to Sports Overserved.
All right, now the second pick. So the first pick, I heard, I wasn't excited about it. I'm going to have to get over that because that's who we got now. But they said it's because we're going with Romo. We're going with Romo now, and what we're doing is focused on Romo. So in the second pick, we did exactly what that... Oh, no, wait, we didn't do what that said. We went out and got a player that can't play.
Yeah.
Jalen Smith. Now, I've seen him in college. I've probably watched 4 or 5 of his games. Unbelievable.
He's a baller, yep.
Unbelievable.
Can play.
But guess who can't play this year? He's redshirting. I don't know if he redshirted in college, if that's what he thought you had to do. Every time you go to a new team, you redshirt. What are we doing?
Well, you're asking me to get into the mind of Jerry Jones. I don't know if anyone can do that, but
I wouldn't want you in there.
Well, thank you. I'm going to try my best here. Jalen Smith obviously is not a player that's going to have any impact in 2016. I think best case scenario for Jalen Smith is get that nerve regenerating, get that knee fixed, get going, and maybe at the end of the year he'll be practicing or at least contributing in some role from that aspect. But we didn't pick Smith for 2016. He's a 2017 type. I mean, he's going to be a game-changing linebacker if he's healthy. If anything that he showed at Notre Dame, if that game translates into the NFL, I mean, I've heard people talk, and I know you don't want to talk about Zeke being a 4 pick, but I've heard people say that the Cowboys potentially have 2 of the top 5 picks with Jalen Smith and Zeke there. Yes, is it a risk? Absolutely. Will he ever be able to run or be in a position to make a tackle in his career? Who knows? But if you look at what he did at Notre Dame, I mean, I think you have to you got to roll the dice here, Matt. You're a gambler. Wouldn't you roll the dice with this guy?
I see that point. The thing I don't get is them saying the Cowboys are all in on this year and just doing this pick. Now, I love this because I think he's going to be a cornerstone of our defense. He's going to be a 10 to 15 year player. I mean, barring that knee thing, but we've got the inside track on the knee, right?
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Cooper was the doctor that did the surgery, and he's our team doctor. So, I mean, I think we have insight there. I don't think they pick someone that's nerves not reacting to treatment or to a surgery without having some sort of additional knowledge that maybe the other 31 teams don't have, and having a team doctor that performed the surgery for this player obviously makes sense that could be the case.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is finally somebody that we can build a defense around. I mean, it's very uncommon that you come around that. But this is Ray Lewis. This is Junior Seau. This is somebody you can build an entire defense around, and you plug players in, and they play above their talent because they're around somebody that's a leader that is amazing, and he can make people around him better. It's not something you see all the time in football. It's something you see in basketball. But he's one of those players.
He's special, but you got to look at the Cowboys' mind frame at that time. He was picked 34, the third pick in the second round. The 2 guys they really wanted were defensive ends. I think Cleveland grabbed Ogba, and I think Tennessee grabbed Dodd. And those are 2 DNs they really wanted. They were kind of stuck there, I think. They had a choice here to find a trade partner, that's someone that they can maybe move down and maybe grab a couple other picks. But they saw Jalen here. They saw the high ceiling. And we've seen the Cowboys do this time and time. I mean, we've seen them do it with linebackers, especially with Bruce Carter and with Sean Lee. They'll take that risk, lose a year. This is McLean's replacement. This is Ragonk's replacement. Right here is Jalen Smith. The fact that they've drafted someone here to partner with Sean Lee. If Sean Lee can stay healthy, Anthony Hutchins, Wilbur, whoever's in those 3 linebacker roles. But I think they found someone here that, to your point, could be a franchise-type player. They took a risk. Is it going to pay out? We won't know, just like Zeke. We won't know.
You know what? I've got a good nickname for our linebacking crew. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Geico.
Why?
Because insurance is going to pay all their things because they're never going to play. Jerry Jones doesn't have to pay any of these players because they're going to be sitting on the sidelines. I think you have to miss 80% of the season for insurance to cover up and pay. They didn't play. It's unbelievable.
Well, they'll play, but we just got to manage our injuries in the right way to rotate them. That's what it is, right? I mean, that's just the truth in the NFL. Linebackers get hurt, especially Dallas Cowboy linebackers, especially like to get hurt. But I really think the Smith kid has a high ceiling. Should you have taken him at 30? Could you have waited till the third round to pick him up?
You think he'd still be there?
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I don't think so. I think Baltimore had a read on him, but
I think this pick is. This is when Jerry Jones missed out on Randy Moss.
Yeah,
he didn't want to miss out on this.
I think so. I mean, who knows? You're asking me again to get in the minds of Jerry. You don't want me to go there. I don't know if I want to go there. Don't pull me out. But I think that's what he's thinking here. It's not Romo friendly for 2016. I mean, they'll be Super Bowl champs at the end of 2016, but Jalen will kind of help with the repeat effort, I think. No? Okay, maybe not.
So, let's get into after that. So now we finally went out and got some defense that can play next year. So, but I'm pretty excited about these picks. We got Malik Collins, we got Charles Tapper. We needed some defensive line because you know what? What happens if you don't have cornerbacks? Well, you need to rush the passer, so at least the sucky quarterbacks behind it don't have to do it for 8 seconds.
And I don't think Greg Hardy's coming back anytime soon. Just my thought.
I don't think so. But even if he was coming back, what did he do? I mean, he had a couple exciting games last year. When
he had
started,
one game against the Patriots.
Then it was done.
But this Collins kid, this Malik Collins, you bring up a good point about these. I mean, these are young talent. This guy is a bowling ball. I mean, he's a run stopper. He's a big-time player. He's what we need. I mean, Tapper, I've heard a lot about Tapper. He's got a first quick step. He's DeMarcus Ware-esque, whatever that means. He could be a starter because we have Gregory and Lawrence smoking dope or whatever they're doing, and they're out the first 4 weeks. So we're going to have to depend on a young guy like Tapper.
By default.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, what do you think about those two picks?
Yeah, I mean, Malik, like you said, he's a bowling ball. He is, you know why he's a bowling ball? He's as wide as he is tall. And he's fast. Oh my gosh, he's fast. I watched a highlight from him in Nebraska. He chased down a running back like 30 yards down the field. What defensive tackle chases down running backs?
Did the guy have a hamburger, like just laying on? He's chasing or what?
I think Malik Collins was eating a hamburger while he was going. I mean, this guy, he's fun to watch. He's going to step right in. He's going to have to. Him and Tapper are going to have to step in. They might not start, but they're going to get playing time right away because of the injuries. Yeah. But I'm comfortable putting I'm going to call them Big 12 because I think Nebraska's still the Big 12. But these are Big 12 guys. Big 12 has good defensive players that come in and play.
Yeah, these guys are going to be contributors, I think, right out of the gate. They're going to have to be. I mean, if the Cowboys want to be competitive this year, they're going to have to depend on these young guys until our potheads get back, basically.
So let's get into the fun pick, though. This was finally we got a quarterback that we don't have to be depressed about. The last one I remember us picking is Stephen McGee.
Yeah.
And that's like 2010 or something. We picked a quarterback that couldn't even start on his own team. He had to fight to get starting time at A&M, which
A&M had good quarterbacks at the time.
Oh yeah, they were awesome, weren't they? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we got him. But we finally picked a quarterback, and the reason I'm excited about it is Romo teaching Dak.
No, Dak, I mean, you've seen Dak. I mean, I've seen Dak, honestly, play over the last couple of years. And I mean, SEC, he is battle-tested. He's beat Alabama, and that's not easy to do. I mean, he's a competitor. He's talented. Is he going to be the savior of the franchise? Who knows? I don't think Seattle, when they drafted Russell Wilson, knew that guy was going to be their guy. Until he was their guy. So I think what you have to do is have Romo. I think Romo is a perfect leader in this situation. It's nothing. Dak isn't going to pressure Romo this year. He's not trying to take his spot over the next couple of years. Dak's going to be a unique situation. Just learn. Just sit back and learn. So many times they throw young quarterbacks into this league that don't have that mentorship from a veteran quarterback. He's going to have that opportunity with Romo, and Romo, just from what I can tell, is going to be willing and open to help this kid. And with Romo's injury history, I mean, who knows? We may see him this year for a month or so. I mean, you never know, because I think this is an upgrade from Kellen Moore.
Yeah, it's definitely an upgrade. And what's exciting about it is Dak is Romo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because you always compare black quarterbacks to other black quarterbacks, but Dak's Romo. He's the same size as Romo. Mm-hmm. He's mobile like Romo. He's not that fast running back or the fast quarterback that's going to go get yards and everything, but he can scramble. The one thing, I mean, Romo has a better arm. But
now, yeah, I mean, Romo was undrafted, right? He does now, and that's going to take time to be more accurate, to learn those short routes. I mean, from what I can understand from quarterbacks, it's not so much the deep stuff. That's kind of just, the feel of the game, but it's those short intermediate routes that quarterbacks have a hard time grasping. But when you have a veteran quarterback like Romo to kind of teach you and hold you along the way and kind of groom you over the next few years, I think Dak has a perfect opportunity. He may not, if you threw him in with a team that wanted him to start right away, he probably wouldn't succeed in that scenario.
Definitely not.
But with Romo, I think he has a good partnership there, and who knows, we may see him this year for a couple of games. I hope not, but you can't rule that out with Romo's injury history.
Yeah, you can't.
It's my quarterback.
Yes, that is our quarterback. Thank you, T.O.
But so that's exciting, though. We finally got what I think is a backup quarterback that's not just, hey, plug him in for a year in case Romo gets hurt. Here's a backup quarterback for the reason we brought him in, to groom him to become the starting quarterback. And that's what you want. Now, let's get out of Dallas Cowboys a little bit, and let's talk into number one, number two.
Yeah.
We got Goff going number one. We got Wentz going number two. Quarterbacks don't go 1-2 very often, okay? It did happen about, I don't know, 5 years ago with Luck and with Griffin. Okay, and before that it was Manning and Leaf, and those both kind of went in the same situation.
Yeah.
Number one, great success story. Number two,
not so much. Not so much.
I lag. So, but I mean, Griffin, who knows? He may, come about, with his resurgence and everything. Yeah. He was having trouble just trying to find a team to sign him. Leaf, that's the horror story of the NFL. Yeah, that's what everybody tells you. Hey, if you're the number 2 pick, all you got to do is be better than this guy, because then you're not the new 30 for 30 that's coming up. But,
I mean, if you're asking me,
is Goff, Wentz, Manning, Leaf?
It may be. You never know. I mean, if you're asking me, I was hoping at some point that the Cowboys would pick up Goff if he fell to the 4th. But I think the Rams are smart here, jumping ahead, getting aggressive, and finding their guy. I think Goff is legit. I think he played in the Pac-12. He knows how to play against top-tier talent. Wentz was an FCS guy, North Dakota State. Who knows? I mean, he's such a wild card. I don't know if I'm at least Griffin, when the Redskins traded their farm, traded away everything. At least he played in the Big 12 at the time. You're talking about Wentz here. He hasn't really played against anyone. I wouldn't be comfortable with any franchise I was associated with betting the farm on the fact of a FCS quarterback. I think the last time it worked out from a draft, it was Joey Flacco, but he didn't go number 1. So, I mean...
Yeah. Well, number 2.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Wins is 2, not 1.
Yeah. No.
So the first round. Okay.
Yeah.
What I think happened, this is what I honestly think happened. Last year... God, NFL was awesome last year. I loved watching the NFL last year. But what happened, Manning, which we were talking about earlier, went down, though. Yeah. Who came in? Osweiler. Yeah. Osweiler's what, 6'7", 6'8", 6'6",
He's tall.
Whatever.
He's a giant, yep.
They saw this quarterback, and it was amazing because you can see over the line if you're 6'8". What can you also do at 6'8"? Throw over everybody. People can't bat your balls down.
Yeah.
They saw this happen, and then they saw Wentz, and they also saw Paxton Lynch, and he's tall. And I think they just were prisoner of the moment. Yep. They said, hey, he's tall. He had a good senior year.
Yeah, I think there's a little more to that. I think the Eagles...
Well, Philip, I know it wasn't just that.
Well, I don't know. You've had a lot of those... well, we'll get into that in a minute. But I think Wentz could be a great player 4 or 5 years from now. I think if you ask me who do I want starting for my franchise on September 11th, it's going to be Goff, not Wentz. Now, 3 or 4 years from now, maybe Wentz is the better pick, but right now, hands down, Goff. I was hoping he'd be there at the 4 pick, like I said, but I think something about him, he has positive presence, his quick release. I mean, he just has everything that you want in a quarterback.
I just think that Cowboys are benefiting from the stupidity of the NFC East.
Yeah.
They trade up to number 2.
Didn't they trade up twice? They traded up like 8 and then or 10 to get to 2. Like there was 2 trades, and they lost numerous draft picks.
Yeah, I mean it's insane, and it happened. I mean, what's crazy is history repeats itself. But it wasn't even that long ago because they did that with Griffin. The Redskins did that with Griffin. You think the Philadelphia Eagles? At least the Redskins didn't have a quarterback that was good. They were playing Grossman.
Well,
I think,
you would
at that
think
point.
The Eagles, with so many Super Bowls, would know better.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Oh, they don't have any.
Yeah.
Every time I go see Philadelphia play, they don't have any of those cool banners we have in ours. So we got a lot of them. But
they're just saving money.
But they gave away so much, and what's crazy to me is that they haven't traded away Bradford. What are you doing? I mean. You got to trade him.
Well, I mean, Bradford is so Wentz isn't ready to go now. I'm not sure if Wentz could have played it. I mean, at an elite level in a Big 5 conference, but you're certainly not going to throw him out there now in the NFL without some sort of a buffer period. And I think that's what Bradford is. Bradford isn't obviously a long-term solution for Philadelphia. He'll be lucky to make it through the end of the year without an injury, but at some point I think Bradford may be injured, or the Philly fans, they booed Santa Claus. I think they'll boo Bradford at some point, and I think Wentz will make his way into the starting lineup, and I think he's probably going to have a rough year just like any other rookie quarterback, but I think his ceiling is high. Is high.
Wentz is going to have a rough year sitting on the bench?
No. I think at some point, my point is, I think at some point, no, he's going to make it to the field this year, whether it be by injury or by the Philly fans.
Bradford won't get injured.
Yeah, ask Oklahoma about that. I think he will, and at that point, from then on, I don't see Bradford as part of the Eagles organization this time next year, and they'll move off from him. Wentz is their guy. They're hedging all their bets on him. Yeah. They went all in on Red, and here we go.
But you got to get rid of him now, because we saw from the Twitters or whatever Bradford was saying, he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, but the Eagles have a semblance of a playoff team somewhere in there. You got to look deep, really deep in there. You'll find a playoff team in there, and that's what they're hoping. That's what their fans are hoping for. They don't want to just say we're rebuilding. No fan base wants to hear we're rebuilding. And I think that's what Bradford suggests is, hey, we're not rebuilding. We're going to move forward. Yeah, we're gonna move forward. If I happen to break my collarbone, if I happen to break my shin, then you have your second pick overall coming in for me. But I think that's the mentality. Next year at this time, this won't even be an argument.
Yeah, and everybody knows that's the bad part, because guess what happens? The trade value when that happens, because nobody's going to want Bradford next year. Okay?
Yeah,
not that many
people.
Anyone
wants Bradford this year.
No, I would say not nobody.
Outside the Eagles.
You could trade Bradford this year, but next year you can't. And you're going to get trash for him next year. You're going to get the second pick next year in the 4th round for Bradford next year. This year, you can get something.
Yeah, but he was already talking holdout. What, in February? He was talking holdout in February, or not February, right after the draft in April. So this guy's a wild card. He's not worth the hassle at this point. Just move on.
But he's not going to teach Wentz, and I think he hurts your team more than he helps it. So just get rid of him.
You can make the argument. I think they don't want to put Wentz in that position to have to start week 1.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
That's true. So we're going to get back into this real quick. We're going to go into my favorite part of this show. I'm so excited about this. We'll get right back into sports after we get to this part right here.
So I'm the producer, and this is my job. I actually think I have the funnest job here. I went today to a supermarket. It's a local supermarket here in the area. And I got to meet this gentleman by the name of David. David owns Texas Ale Project. So we've been drinking a particular beer from Texas Ale Project. So I think something that we need to know. Do you guys know what IBU means? What it stands for?
IBU. International Beverage Unit.
That's a good guess. What about you?
You got me there, man.
Here it goes. International Bitterness Units.
Oh, that was close. Okay.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So that's one part. That's one way that they measure the beer. The other is the ABV. Do you guys know what ABV is?
Yeah.
Volume alcohol.
Alcohol by volume. Exactly. So we're going to guess those. I want you guys to guess. Now, y'all have had a chance to taste this.
Okay, well, I know one thing. I know ABV. It's percentage-wise. What's the scale for IBU?
From 0 to 100.
0 to 100
for bitterness.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is. I think this is pretty hoppy. I mean, it's got a strong taste to it. I don't know the scale too much on it, but for let's go International Bitterness Unit. I'm gonna go with an 84.
I'm gonna go 76.
Wow, it's a 10.
Oh, wow.
It's a 10. Okay. I obviously don't know this scale at all. Okay.
I'm sorry. I messed up. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong number here. It's actually more than what both of you said. It's 100.
It's 100.
Oh,
okay. So yeah, really, we were getting up there. So I want to
up.
take a guess on the ABV.
Can I go first?
Let's do same time.
Okay.
10.
Yeah, that's what I had.
10%. That's both your guess.
That's what we're gonna go with.
It's actually 9.2.
9.2.
But this one, Price is Right. You guys would have lost.
I
totally would have lost.
Well,
this
good
one.
thing we're not playing Price Right. But this is pretty good. What is this? An IPA?
Yeah, it is. It's a double IPA.
Double IPA.
I learned
okay.
today there's a double IPA. So
I'm on a quadruple IPA right now because I've had 2.
So when you say Texas, what part of Texas is this from?
Well, he's from Dallas. He's actually on Riverfront, 1001 North Riverfront Boulevard in Dallas, Texas. You guys can visit him there. The cool part of this story is this. So there's an artist by the name of Mr. Johnny Cash.
Okay.
And the name of this beer that you guys are drinking is 100 Million Angels Singing, which is, from what I was told, from what David told me, this was the last song that Johnny wrote. And so he named this beer after the song that Johnny Cash wrote. And actually the song is called The Man Comes Around.
The Man Comes Around.
Yes,
okay.
And so that lyric is in this, which is from Revelation. I started reading today, and it's pretty in-depth, the book of Revelation in the Bible, because we do like the Bible around here.
JC
all right?
in the house?
Yes, he is.
Bible Belt.
There we go. But yeah, it was really interesting talking to him. Dallas Observer had an article by Lance, and Lance, I hope I don't butcher your last name, but it's Higdon, I believe. And this is what they quoted on the Dallas Observer: a beer that tastes like both pizza and beer, all for $5.
Hey.
Yeah. Then he said, "Can we get an amen?"
Amen. Amen to that. Hey, but I think this is a good beer. This is
really
a good
is.
summer beer because, I mean,
It's
know,
hoppy. I'm kind of surprised it's 100. I mean, it's hop. I don't think it's 100 from a bitter aspect. I mean, it has that, but I'm not. I've had worse.
yeah, no, it's,
From a
it's a
bitter
very bitter beer,
aspect.
but no, well, I mean,
It's very
it's
smooth,
not,
I thought.
It's
I
not
think so,
bitter
too.
beer face like getting a
Yeah.
Keystone Light or a Natty Light, but it's got that the hoppiness. Hops are bitter. It is a very hoppy beer, but this is, one thing that some people don't like about the IPA is it's so heavy. And this one isn't.
It doesn't
really
feel
is
like that at all.
No.
This is one you could put down at the pool. You could put a few down and not feel like
Mow
you
the lawn and kind of have one
have
right
to do
after.
abs in between every beer, so you're still looking
And we
good on
must
the beach.
say that we don't condone drinking and driving. Please put that, or driving a lawnmower. None of that stuff. Please don't get in your car and drink.
We're only okay with drinking and listening.
And listening.
Drinking,
In your
absolutely.
house or somewhere where you're not moving.
Or a passenger.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, there you go.
Well, I still think that's illegal, Philip.
I think that is illegal. You
Oh,
can't
yeah,
have
yeah,
open
that's right.
containers in the car. Well, we're going to work on our legal department here and get that together.
So, but let's introduce it again. Tell them what we're drinking again, so they can go out and get it.
Again, the name of the place is called Texas Ale Project, and the name of this particular one is 100 Million Angels Singing. The taste of pine, resin, and citrus. It is a double IPA with an ABV of 9.2%, and the IBU is 100.
And where can you pick these up? Where'd you get this one, John?
Well, I got it at it's a local market here. I think everybody goes to it. I'll tell you, it was actually Whole Foods.
It was Whole
Okay.
Foods.
Yes.
Okay.
Fancy schmancy, okay.
So we're
Very fancy
being a little.
schmancy.
Yeah, I guess we're down here in Highland Park. We got to go to somewhere fancy.
Yeah.
We can't go to Walmart and
It's
get this.
funny.
But
My friends know that I don't do nothing that ain't fancy. I got friends in Whitney, Texas that know everything I do has got to be fancy, so the drink is too.
okay. Well, I think now we're going to get back into the sports aspect of this, and what's really going on exciting right now is the NBA.
Basketball.
I mean, my goodness, this has been exciting. We're going to get into the Warriors OKC a little bit here in a second, but let's talk about the Eastern Conference really quick, because guess what? It's really boring and nobody wants to watch it.
I do. I mean, I think
I watched it. I wasn't excited, but now, Toronto made it exciting, winning 2 at home and everything. But one thing I'm going to talk about, LeBron is in his 6th straight finals. 7 overall. He's in 6 straight. Mm-hmm. The question I have is, I'm a LeBron hater and everything like that. Mm-hmm. He's great, everything like that. But the East is so weak. I mean, he's playing really maybe 1 series per year. He's had Boston a couple times. He's had Chicago once. To get to the finals, the road's so easy in the East.
So you said 6. So you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight NBA final appearances.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is that impressive?
Is that no? The stat is impressive. You're a numbers guy, Phil, and you just look at stats and say. But let's if we went. I wish I would have wrote all the series down and everything. But this year, really, there wasn't a series. I mean, who was he playing? I mean,
but why is there? I mean, so I get. I'm not going to argue that the East is stronger than the West. I'm not here to make that argument. But 6 straight, whatever. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine Romo and the Cowboys going to 6 Super Bowls, or any other team that has the Spurs going 6 consecutive? Anything, and the fact that LeBron's been able to be competitive with 2 different teams,
yeah.
And I hear what you're saying, that who has he played, but look who he's played without. Let's look at last year. He went 6 games against Golden State. He took them, and they were up 2-1. They had that series with Dellavedova. Didn't have Irving, didn't have Love, didn't have anyone. He had Dellavedova as a supporting cast.
I don't want to talk about the finals.
Well,
the finals are totally different. I'm talking about the road to the finals.
No, absolutely, but. Is he good enough? Obviously, because they took Golden State to 6 games last year with Dellavedova and just LeBron. Basically, I mean, that's without those 2, that team doesn't make the playoffs. Or even without just LeBron, that team doesn't make the playoffs. But is it impressive? Absolutely. Anyone that can do anything 6 consecutive times, even if the competition is weaker. I mean, he's a king. You're not the king. I mean, he won 2 NBA finals, right? In those win. 6, right? So. It's not like he's not bringing home the hardware. He's doing that.
Well, it's kind of like he's not bringing home the hardware. 2 for 6.
Well, I mean, he had a tough 2011 battle against Dirk and those guys.
It
Those were an impressive team, but
that was one of my favorite years of my life. Those 2 months of this, oh man, everything from down. Oh my,
that's a whole segment in itself.
Yeah, well, that's something we'll get into later,
show,
and that's probably enough about the East because that's about as much time as the East deserves. But let's get into the Warriors OKC. One thing I'm going to say, I've watched every single minute of every single game of this series, and my good, you can't turn away. You can't turn away. This might be, I mean, it's definitely one of it. Might be the best non-finals series ever.
Could you make the argument that 4 out of the 5 best players now are playing in this series?
4 out of the 5.
I know. Everyone's going to be quick to Westbrook, Durant, and Curry, but Klay Thompson is. I mean, this kid is playing lights out. If I told you that someone on the Golden State Warriors had more points per game, a higher field goal percentage, and a higher 3-point percentage than Steph Curry, wouldn't that validate himself as a superstar at least, or a great player in the playoffs? Those are his numbers.
You're looking at one thing, and you're looking at shooting. And let's get into this.
Okay.
Steph, greatest shooter ever. I mean, I don't think it's hard to even argue that.
Well, I can argue in this playoffs, but go ahead. I'll let you go.
But what I'm going to get into, this playoffs. I'm talking about careers-wise. But are Steph and Klay the 2 best shooters ever? I mean, people have been saying, they're the best shooters on team ever. They might be the 2 best shooters ever because look at what Klay has done. 37 points in 1 quarter. Okay? He has the record for most threes in a playoff game. He did that, a couple nights ago. I mean, it's incredible. Yep. And what's crazy is he took 18 threes. He made 11. Okay? Now,
not only that, he had 41 points, his career playoff high in that game.
So let's say he missed, if you go 11 for 18, you miss 7 threes. Okay? Now, Durant also, he only missed 7 threes. Problem with that, he took 8.
Yeah.
He went 1 for 8. He missed 7 threes. Klay's taking 18 and only missing. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, watching that game, I was texting one of my friends. I said, you're about to have to say bye-bye to Jason Terry having a share of the lead of most threes in a playoff game because at the 8.5 minute mark, he had tied the record.
He's a fisherman. I mean, all I watched last night was just catch and release. I mean, some of the shots that he was
Stealing
taking
that from Chuck.
I did. Chuck's great. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, he's on the Warriors bench taking shots. I mean, on the sideline. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I think a lot of people underrate this kid just because he's teammates with Steph Curry, and Steph Curry gets all the publicity outside of NBA MVP or the Finals MVP last year, which is a bitter subject. But I mean, I think he's earned his due, and I think honestly we may be seeing 4 out of the 5 best players. I wouldn't have put Thompson in that and that top 5 before this series, but how can you not? His numbers.
Yeah, I don't think you can put him in 4 of the 5 best players right now. He may work himself into that. He's not 4 of the 5 best players in the NBA. Nobody. I mean, you have to do that. You have to do.
Matt, this series is over. Series is over if Klay Thompson doesn't have the night that he had last night. They knew they had to go. Oklahoma City had to play average to win that game last night. Just average. They played below average. Between those two, I think those guys, I mean, their shooting percentage was outrageous. They just needed to be decent. And they needed big games from both of those guys. Klay Thompson got a career high, as you pointed out, 11 for 18. Steph Curry was an assist from a triple-double. Those guys played lights out. But in particular, you got to look at Klay, and he kept him in the game. Steph Curry, even though he had the big shot at the end, the big 3 at the end, he doesn't. Those shots are down by 20, down by 15. If it's not for Klay, Klay kept him in. He not only did he keep him in this game, but you got to think the first 2 series when they were Stephless, he held this down. I mean, I know it's weaker competition, but so what? He still did it.
I think you're being a prisoner of the moment. You're being
maybe
a prisoner of the moment.
Maybe so. I am
5 best players. I mean, I would say this is putting him into top 15. I wouldn't even go top 10 with Klay yet. Now, what I'm going to say is that he's an amazing shooter. He is the second best shooter in the NBA. You can't even compete against that. He might be better than Steph. I'm not going to say that because Steph has a better arsenal. Okay? But he's not a top 10. He's not a top 5
I mean,
player.
I'm looking at Klay from a defensive standpoint too, right? I mean, who do you want playing defense against their best shooting guard? Do you want Steph or Klay? I personally prefer Klay. Klay can get it done on both ends. I think that's what warrants him being. I see what you're saying. Maybe I'm getting caught up in the moment, but He's getting better and better. He averaged 18 points a game last year in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging 26.5 points from year to year. On the big stage, I get it. Steph wasn't there the first, series and a half. But got to give the man his due, Matt. Give him. You don't give LeBron his due. I get it, but wait, come on. I'm seeing a trend
I'm
here.
I'm giving him his due with the shooting. There is no way he's a top 5 player in this league.
Okay.
There's no way he's a top 10 player in this league. He hasn't proved that yet. You can't look at a small sample size like that and say that he's a top 5 or even
All
top 10
I can say
player.
is Steph's looking at vacation plans right now if it wasn't for Klay Thompson last night. That's all I'm saying.
He probably would be. But let's get into the series now. I've picked out a few series that I've kind of compared it to. Now, one, we're not old enough to even talk about them. I mean, it was Philly and Boston. Everybody says that was one of the, probably the greatest non-finals playoff series ever. Went 7, went back and forth. I'm not even going to try to say it's better or say it's not as good or anything like that because I can't even put, I haven't seen it. But let's get into these two series, okay? The first one we're going to get into is Lakers-Sacramento. Now, I remember that one.
Okay.
That one, Game 4, I think, was Robert Horry hitting that crazy 3.
Mm-hmm.
And all that stuff. The Game 6 one, the huge
Mike
controversy.
Bibby in the house.
Yeah. Them getting all those free throws and them saying, the NBA is rigged and they're just doing all these things. I mean, I think they had 4 or 5 big guys in foul trouble. Sacramento did, and the Lakers didn't have anybody. But that went 7 games, and I mean, that was exciting down to the wire. Lakers finally came out of that. And then the other one, I mean, you got to go hometown a little bit, but Mavs Spurs. I mean,
when someone says Game 7 to me, that's the Game 7 I know of.
That is
Ginobili fouling Dirk as Dirk's going to the rim, gets the slam, and the and one ties it up. We go to OT, and Stackhouse just goes nuts on it, and that's when I think of Game 7 NBA playoffs, and as a millennial, as a Dallas millennial, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I mean,
every time. I mean, that's
it probably shouldn't have gone 7 games if Jason Terry wouldn't have been an idiot
and punched Finley in the
Finleys.
Yeah.
But Game 5 was what it was, and Game 6 we lost. Probably because we're missing our second best player.
Yeah, but we got it done.
But we still got it done.
The finals.
Yeah, we still got it done. Well, let's not talk about that. If we're going to talk about a Mavs Heat series, we're going to talk about 2011. But
that's true.
One thing I will bring up with this series, what happened in this series, Mavs went up 3-1.
Yep.
And who won that series? The Mavs did. So OKC went up 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now Warriors won 2. Now the one different thing, I think Mavs had home court in Game 7.
Yeah.
The Warriors.
It's only happened 9 times is in the playoffs where teams come back from 3-1, and it's only happened 3 times in the conference finals where a team has come back from 3-1, all in the East. So, tomorrow it's Game 7 gets tipped off. If the favorite, Golden State's going to be heavily favored. They're at home. I think they're -7 in Vegas right now. They're going to be favored. But if they win, it's going to be history. And I'm not sure I'm ready to just say, hey, it's never happened in a conference finals in the West, that it's just going to happen. I don't know.
So who do you got?
Who do I have? I mean, obviously the money, if you're betting, and the smart pick is Golden State. I don't know. I'm just uneasy about it. I think Durant and Westbrook could just go crazy tomorrow, and I think the performance that Thompson and Curry had last night needs to be replicated for Westbrook and Durant for them to have any chance, because that crowd's going to be crazy. Now, these are the same fans that occupy what am I thinking of? The Oakland.
Oh, God, don't even bring up.
These are the same fans.
Don't even bring up 2007.
No, so these fans are going to be ready to go, and it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. But I don't know. My gut tells me they're going to find a way to win.
I'm going to pick OKC too, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I was watching Game 6. Now, what happened in the fourth quarter? That was just Clay, being Clay. You want to look at those threes. I almost want to call them Clay-ups because they're so easy when he's making them, right? Mm-hmm. But if you watch the first quarter, you saw something in Durant that I've never seen his whole career. That look in his eyes, that he's like, I'm going to finish this. When they were getting those 4 offensive rebounds right quick in the first quarter, and he had that look in the eyes like, I am going to take their heart out. I've never seen that in Durant, ever. And I saw it last night. Now, what happened in the fourth happened in the fourth.
Yeah,
you
the
can't
last
say
4
anything
minutes,
about that.
yeah, they were done.
But I'm taking OKC, and I'm going hard with them. So what we'll get into next a little bit, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Westbrook versus Durant.
Okay, I like it.
You're listening to Sports Overserved.
Okay, so now we're back here. Again, I got Philip with me. I'm Matt. Westbrook versus Durant. Now, I've been a Westbrook lover since, I don't know, maybe his second year, probably maybe his first, but definitely since his second year. He's so fun to watch. I've loved him. You take the good with the bad and everything like that, and the good's outweighing the bad right now so much. It's awesome. But what we got to get into is who's better. Is it Durant or is it Westbrook? Who do you have in this battle?
If you're asking me after Game 4, I'm saying hands down Westbrook.
But I'm asking you after Game 6.
After Game 6, you have to go with Durant still. I mean, Westbrook's had a great playoffs. I mean, he's averaging over 26 points. He's doing what he needs to do. I mean, shooting lights out, 40% field percentage. But Durant is still outperforming. I mean, even in numbers, just from a straight stat line, he's outperforming him. And he's Durant. I mean, Durant just makes big plays. He didn't last night. I know he's a shooter, right? And why I feel confident that OKC is going to be able to respond tomorrow is because he has a shooter mentality. He's not going to let it linger. He's going to go out. He's going to ball out tomorrow. I think he's going to have a great game. He's a franchise player. Westbrook is almost there. I think Westbrook, for me, I've never been sold on him like you have been, but I think, he's showing himself to be aggressive on offense, and I mean he's the most athletic player on the floor when he's on the floor. Every single time he's aggressive to the hole. He's everything you want a guard to be. And but Durant is he's a franchise player. So
yeah, I'm taking Westbrook. I got to take Westbrook here, and the biggest reason is he cares more than anybody since Michael Jordan about winning. You can see it in his eyes. He's diving for balls on the floor. He goes after everything. He gets if there's a 50-50 ball, Westbrook's getting it. There's no question. I mean, I wish I could make bets on 50-50 balls because he's getting it every time. Mm-hmm. And he's doing when you say Durant's stats are better, what stats are better? Just the shooting. Just the shooting, because he doesn't have as many rebounds.
Well, you got to score points to win games.
You do have to score points to win the game, but you also have to stop people from scoring points.
Well, this is why I say he's better. When Durant's not healthy and Westbrook is, you've seen how they operate without each of them. And OKC is a lot stronger with just Durant over just Westbrook. Now, granted, this was before. I think each year Westbrook is getting stronger. From 2011, when we saw him in the playoffs against the Mavericks, to who the player, I mean, it's two totally different players. His shot selection was horrible back then. And you've seen that maturation process happen with him. And he's a great player. I agree. You know, maybe Mark Cuban had it wrong there, but I think he is a top 5 player. I agree with that. I'm not sure that he's better than Durant at this point. Can he be? Yes. Does he hustle more? Yes, absolutely. I think he does hustle more. Doesn't make him a better player. If I was going to start a franchise tomorrow, who am I getting, Durant or Westbrook? For me, it's a no-brainer.
For me, it's a no-brainer too. But I'm on the other side of it now. When we're talking, you got to score points. Mm-hmm. So, but you can't just look at points. One assist counts as 2 points, right?
Yeah.
At least 2, because sometimes it's a 3.
Well, it's easy when you're passing it to Durant.
Hey, it is easy when you're passing to Durant, but you're also passing to Ibaka. You're also passing to Steven Adams. I mean, his court vision is some of the best we've ever seen. I mean, he's getting those backsides, and I mean, he's getting everything. He sees everybody. He throws a lob to Robertson. Who thought Robertson was going to?
I mean, they're both great. They're both two. I think we would agree they're both in the top 5 now. Maybe I wouldn't have been that high on Westbrook a few months ago, but I am now. He's not better than Durant. He's just not.
Okay. Well, I guess that's somewhere where we disagree. Now, we're going to get a little bit in. I mean, who's the leader on that team, though? Is there a leader?
No, and I think that's the problem. I think that's why you've seen them not advance and do what you think about all the teams that have won since 2011 with the Mavs, the Heat, the Warriors. And they've been competitive with every one of these teams. They've had their opportunity against every one of those teams, and they can't get it done. The Mavericks, no doubt who their leader was. The Heat, no doubt who their leader was. Golden State, no doubt who their leader was. And I think that's probably part of the problem with OKC. I think tomorrow we're going to know a lot more who leads this team. This is going to be the environment that you build a legacy on. Game 7, Western Conference Finals, in Golden State against a team that's 73-9, the best record ever in the NBA. If you want to make a name for yourself, make it tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Go lights out like Clay did last night. And Steph, I mean, he was, like I said, almost a triple-double. You have your opportunity. Both of those guys are going to have their opportunity to take control of that game.
Okay, you know who I think the leader of the team is? And I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. It's Billy Donovan. He is out-coaching the world right now. I mean, he beat Pop. I think he's going to beat Kerr, but he's up to Kerr. And you know why I think they're beating the Warriors? I mean, it's the littlest thing, but I've been watching it started at least in Game 3. They might have been doing all the series. I don't remember. But what they're doing, they're switching on every pick and everything, and everybody sees that. But every time there's a big guy out on Steph, how they're guarding him, his hand's up 100% of the time. It's up there. And you know what it's done? You know how many blocks they've got on Steph pulling that three because their hand's already up? It's unbelievable. And it's just the reaction time to get that up. It's insane. I didn't think it was that fast, but it is because Steven Adams and Ibaka have both blocked a three on Steph. You don't see Steph get blocked. His release is so quick. But you watch Game 7. Every player that's out there, the only one that doesn't do it is Westbrook, and I think it's just because he's cocky and you think he gets his hand up there fast enough. But every player that's out there, they have their hand up 24/7 when they're out there on Steph. And it's made a huge difference. Now, not only does he get that block, but you know as a shooter, you played a lot of basketball. You played high school. You played after high school.
Had my day.
What does a shooter hate more than anything? Not seeing the basket.
Yeah.
So that hand up there, he can't see the basket. And usually he's just looking at the basket the whole time. He's like, oh, I'm going to dribble. I'm going to go behind my back. I'm going to go between my legs. But I know where the basket is. I'm about to shoot that.
Well, I disagree with you 100% on this. And the reason why is the last 4 minutes of Game 6, that team looked lost. They were fumbling the ball, turnover after turnover, and they needed a timeout.
You disagree with what?
That the fact that Billy Donovan's out coaching everyone. He's not. He's not. And he had an opportunity there to call a timeout, and he did call a timeout. He pulled everyone in, but a strong coach there calms his guys down. I mean, they were fumbling out. Westbrook can't even dribble at that time. I mean, they're turnover machine, leaving guys wide open. I mean, the way they played, I think, was a reflection of their coach. And they needed I think we're onto something here. They don't have a single leader. Durant's not that leader. Westbrook's not that leader. Donovan's not that leader. There's no one at that taking that leadership role, and it showed in the last 4 minutes. Guess who did step up? Steph stepped up. Clay got him to that point. Steph finished it off. Was amazing. Made the shots. Was aggressive. That team. I mean, Andre Iguodala was playing defense. Hit lights out. I mean, that team was just motivated. And I think part of that, Steve Kerr, and his guys were ready to go, and Donovan's guys were lost. And keep in mind, they're at home. They're in OKC. This is their last stand. It's hard to go to Golden State at all and win, but Game 7, you're asking a lot. This was their last stand, and they just imploded. Yeah, they imploded.
And everybody does make mistakes. And Billy Donovan
it wasn't just one mistake.
No,
it was several mistakes.
That's a mistake, and you can't stop. I mean, there's certain things you can't do, but think about the players that have played out of their minds these last few series. I mean, they've taken a huge jump. That's got to be the coaching. Steven Adams, okay, Ibaka. Before this series,
they've been to the finals before.
Okay, but
it's about closing games, and they didn't do it.
These are different players. These are totally different players. There's Westbrook and Durant and Ibaka. That's
all you need.
So before this series, Ibaka was getting traded to the Timberwolves to get the number 6 pick. He played himself into
but the leadership isn't there. They had an opportunity. They were at home. They have Game 6. They had a chance at Game 6. And it's going to cost them this series. It's going to cost maybe OKC Durant. Was that the last time we've seen Durant? Maybe so. All because no one stepped up, calmed them down, said, hey, this is our chance. We're at home. We have these guys reeling. We're tied up. There's 4 minutes left. Let's do it. And Steph just balled on them.
Okay.
Just balled on them.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. We'll see Game 7 what happens, but you were talking about Durant. This may be his last game in an OKC jersey.
Maybe.
It may be. And because what did he say? He said if we don't make it to the finals or if we don't win the finals. I think we make it to the finals.
Win the finals,
leaving.
Yep.
If we don't win the finals, I'm leaving. Okay? Now, one thing, God, they played so well. I can't even see him leaving. But we're going to get into something real quick. We had a little wager going on. It's probably 2 months ago.
It's a little longer. Yeah.
A little longer than 2 months ago.
Maybe so.
And we were talking about this exact same subject. And you wanted Durant so bad on the Mavs, and so do I. But I was like, there's no way that's happening. There is no way that's happening. We went back and forth. We probably had a couple of these beverages in us. But I said, there's no way that's happening. And I said, I'll give you anything. I said, I'll put up $1,000 that Durant doesn't sign with the Mavs this year. All you got to do is put up 10.
Absolutely. I took that bet again.
Took it again. And then we had a friend come over a couple weeks later. We started arguing about that. Yeah, we had Kevin out there. And he was separating us, what are you guys fighting about? And everything was like, no, it's a bet. And he heard the bet. He goes, Matt, he called me some words I don't like to be called. I'm not going to say them on here.
Especially not on there.
He definitely called me some names I don't like to be called. And he said, I want that bet. I said, I'll give it to you. You guys, this. Now, I want to tell you about a little trip I took. I was up in Oklahoma doing some things.
Talking to Durant?
Yeah, I was. I was. I was at a bar, and I was like, man, that guy's tall. And he turned around. It was Kevin Durant. And I'm like, oh, man, I got to go up and at least talk to him. Right? So I go up, and I'm talking to him. I'm telling him about the bet. And, I was telling my friend Philip, all this stuff. And you know what he said to me? Do you know what he said to me about you?
What? What did he say?
He's an idiot.
That's exactly what he said. And he is not. Now, this bet could splash back up in my face about a month from now, but I don't think it is. I've got my drinks picked out that I want those $10 to be spent on. I'm going to spend them in a bar. And I'm going to make sure both of y'all are there.
Well, I've already customized a Mav Durant jersey. It looks gorgeous.
Does it?
I have it right next to my Dirk. Those guys are going to play great. Even though they're both, we can do like a power forward, small forward combo, but I can't wait.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban's going to get it done. He's a salesman.
But we're going to get done with this real quick, though. But can you see anything besides, even, let's say they lose, tomorrow and everything like that. Can you see anything besides him re-signing for 1 year or re-signing a long contract with OKC? Can you see anything else?
I think what's going to happen is LeBron's going to win the finals. OKC or Golden State, whoever makes it, are going to lose. And if he's saying that if OKC's not going to win, he's not going to re-sign. I think what he really does is sign a 1 year deal, waits for Westbrook's contract to mature. The following year, they go as a tandem. My gut feeling is the Lakers. I think that's just, I can see that happening. Durant, Westbrook going to Lakers. You have an instant franchise. They have the money. They have everything there. Why not? They're the Cowboys of NBA, the Yankees of baseball. I mean, who wouldn't want to play in LA? And I think they're going to be lured there because I don't think they're going to win. Maybe not. They may win tomorrow, but if they get to Cleveland, Durant chokes against LeBron. I mean,
oh man, I don't think.
I'm only going by history.
2-5 for LeBron this year.
Well, I mean, I think either way, I don't think Durant wins this year.
Okay. Now the next person we got on the list, there's two really big names on it. Now LeBron's the other one, 31 years old. He's not technically a free agent, but he's got the player option. He's going to have a player option.
He's not leaving until Cleveland wins. Cleveland's been without a championship, 54 years? That's his destiny. He wants to be the person to bring a championship to Cleveland. I think it's going to happen this year. Okay. If it happens this year, he's going to stay either way. Why would he leave his hometown? I mean, he's the king in the world. He'll be definitely the king, the supreme king in Cleveland.
Yeah, and let's say they win, they're keeping everybody. But let's say they lose, okay?
Okay.
And who are they keeping? Who are they picking up?
The Cavaliers?
The Cavaliers, are they getting rid of?
I mean, their franchise is all based on LeBron. I mean, if LeBron goes, they'll be good. They have Irving, they have Love if they can convince him to stick around. But I mean, everything's predicated on LeBron. LeBron leaves, they're not a contender. Maybe for the East, but not a title contender.
Okay, so let's get something we both care about: the Mavs.
Okay.
And what they're going to do in free agency. Now, I think we have to get a big guy, and there's so many big guys available this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'm going to go through them real quick. Okay, we've got Howard. He's 31 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Howard. We've got Whiteside, 27, Ezeli, 27, Horford, Jefferson, Noah, Mahinmi, maybe getting him back, Hibbert, and then Miles Plumlee. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now all of those are free agents except Howard. Howard has a player option, but I can't.
Yeah, he's not re-signing with Houston yet.
No way. But who do we have the best shot at? Who do you want the most?
Who do I want the most? I mean, just looking at this list, who do I want? Who do I think would work well with Rick Carlisle? I think it's Noah. I think Noah. I mean, does he have anything left? I like his the way he plays, his physical style. I think he's coachable. He's a great team player. I want Noah if he's in his prime or late prime. But if he's not, I mean, the Bulls just wore him down. I mean, he had so many great years with Chicago. But if not Noah, I would take a Zealy if he's available. He's younger. I know he's kind of a no-name. He's newer. But he's shown what he can do. He's aggressive. He's a big body. I mean, that's what we need. And, I mean, Howard is... No. Howard, name a scenario, situation with any team that it's worked out for him. So, no, absolutely. I know he's a flashy pick, and if Jerry Jones was the Mavericks GM, he'd be a Maverick next month. But
yeah, we definitely don't have an owner.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would have to say Noah or Zealy if I had my choice.
Noah or Zealy, so
yeah.
We want, yeah. And Zealy, he's been good since, I think it was Purdue he was playing it. He's been good since there. I think they got a steal when they got a Zealy. I'm going to tell you this. I think the best shot we got, and I think who we're probably going to get if we get anybody on this list, Dwight Howard.
I know.
It's just, it's going to, Cuban, he is very ego-driven, and he wanted Howard, was it 4 years ago, 2012?
Yeah.
And he didn't get him. And guess what he's going to probably do? He's going to say, oh, I couldn't get him this time, but I'll get him this time. Same
thing with D-Will. I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah. Revisionist history. I mean, stay away from Howard. He's not gonna. I don't think anyone on this list is gonna make the Mavericks a title contending team.
Yeah.
But get rid of the heartache and avoid all of that by just not signing Howard and picking up one of the other two.
I think I think he's the top 3 coach in the league in Rick Carlisle. If Rick Carlisle can get through to Howard, I think he's the only player on this list that can get us to be a title contender.
Well, I mean, Howard's playing style, pick and roll, wanting, he's the right style for his pick and roll.
Dirk and
rolling
Dwight
to the rim.
doing a pick and roll. I know. 2 7-footers doing a pick and roll.
That's what you want, but I mean, I don't want to have to deal with his attitude and his personality after the game, and I'm sure Dirk doesn't want to have to deal with that. I wouldn't. But I mean, to your point, if anyone can get through, it would be a Rick Carlisle. And maybe it will work. It just hasn't worked with anyone. Yeah. So I'm just basing off of Howard, and he doesn't get along with Kobe, doesn't get along with Houston, with Harden.
He didn't get along with Kobe because he wanted the spotlight, and Kobe has the spotlight. Dirk doesn't want the spotlight. He's like one of the only superstars in the league that says, yeah, I don't care. I'll go out and win. You can do whatever you want.
Howard's soft, and I think most players know that, and no one wants to play with him.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
I think we're getting them. So before we get into our last subject here, we're going to bring up something kind of a little bit controversial here coming up here in a minute.
You've been listening to Sports Overserved with Philip and Matt.
So now we're going to get a little more into the darker side of sports. And what we're going to talk about is a little bit something. It's happened pretty close to home. It's about an hour and a half from where we live, and it's the Baylor situation. So, Philip, tell us a little bit about what's going down there in Waco.
I mean, chaos. Chaos is what's going down there. I mean, I don't know. For that team, for that franchise, or for that college program, to see them over the last 10 years, I think Art's been there, 8 or 9 years. From them, the transformation that's happened to make them a top elite college football program to where we're at today. Man, it's just crazy that it happened to Art was a high school Texas coach. He was a legend. He put it all on the line to go to Baylor and to put his reputation to see if it would work at that level at Baylor, and for him to actually have it work and to go through all that. And the irony of this is that Ken Starr is involved with this and being in the position to...
Is Ken Starr going to investigate Ken Starr?
I mean, it's so ironic how this all played out.
Hey, Philip and Matt, I really don't mean to interrupt, but I have a special message for you.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
I mean, it's crazy what's going on over there. 12 allegations. at some point, why didn't someone step in? You're talking about a Christian university here. Everyone has a high standards that they live by, but especially here in the Bible Belt, in the buckle, the belt buckle, the Bible Belt in this area, for something to go on this long, it's crazy. And we've always heard over the last couple of years instances, maybe individual circumstances that occurred, and they kind of got washed under, or you kind of forget about it with everything else going on. And in Art Briles, it reminds me a lot of the Penn State cover-up where he may have not – I don't think he obviously was maybe directly covering up. Who knows? We'll find out at some point. But he obviously was involved at some point and should have stepped in and taken a leadership role and made sure that everyone be held accountable, his team, his players, his coaching staff, the dean, academia, everyone. But even the Waco Police Department is somewhat involved in this. This is
a lot of
scary.
stuff happening in Waco. A lot
I know.
of crazy stuff happening in Waco.
The shootings, what's going on with this. How would you feel? If I had a daughter at Baylor, I'm pulling her out.
You send them to TCU right up the road.
This is not going to hurt just Baylor's football program. This is going to hurt their university. They're going to lose donors. I think this is worse than Penn State because this involves the Penn State. It was sick, but this involves students, and this involves students not feeling safe on their own campus. I remember being in college. I felt like it was the safest place in the world. I could go, do anything, everything. I was protected, especially on campus or anywhere near campus. And does this warrant the death penalty? Penn State got a bad one. This penalty has to be worse. It was so long. It goes back to 2011, 2010-ish, something like that. Is as far, it might even go back further. But this is unbelievable. When this came out.
Yeah, does it warrant the death penalty? I think you could hear it on both sides. Is it worse than what Penn State did? Maybe not, maybe so. So many different people involved, so many different victims, but same with Penn State. Will it happen is a different question, and absolutely not. It will not happen. The death penalty, I don't think, will occur in this situation, in most situations, just because what it did to SMU in the 80s, to that team, to their programs. I don't think the NCAA would ever if Penn State and the Joe Paterno issue didn't warrant a death penalty, I don't think this does. And if these two situations don't warrant a death penalty, I don't know what you have to do that's so outrageous that would warrant it. You're thinking about 12 victims of assault. Now, all of them weren't sexual assault. Some of them are just physical. And then you're talking about kids. Yeah. And, either way, if that... I think here in Baylor, what happened there in that situation is the fact that it was almost a perfect storm. You have a new upcoming program that's very competitive, that's going to bowl game after bowl game, and they're finally on the map, and it's in Texas, and all of those boosters, everyone in that city, everyone's so proud of it. And at that point, you want to hold on to it. You don't want to let that feeling go into being competitive, because Baylor was nothing before Art Briles. It was the late 80s before they were even competitive.
Hey, wait, don't say Baylor's nothing. It's got Waco, which I think is highest per capita in homeless people. You got that. But that's what's their claim to fame. And that's
the David Koresh, yeah.
That was a long time ago.
It was Waco.
Yeah.
It was a perfect storm. Football's everything in Texas, and for you to have the pinnacle of that in college football, have a program that's admired by everyone, and it goes down you're going to do everything you can to protect that. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely not by a Christian university, not by any university.
Yeah, definitely.
But I could see why it took so long for everything to come out. That's their baby.
They were the beating post of the Big 12 before. I remember when I was in college, Texas Tech, guns up, Red Raiders, go. But you loved playing Baylor. We drive down to Waco and
homecoming
go have
games
fun.
for everyone.
It was Baylor.
And they have the new stadium. Have you seen the new stadium?
Yeah, it's on the river, the Brazos.
It's beautiful.
All that's because of Art Briles.
Wow.
And it's sad to see it happen, but you can't. You have to move forward with something like this. You can't just let that happen.
Ken Starr.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't he a part of another big?
He was the lead investigator for the whole Clinton impeachment and the sexual escapades of President
And what involvement?
Clinton.
Just because I'm learning about this right now, what involvement does he have with all of this now?
He's the president of the university.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe with the position he had. You got to step down. I think you just.
Well,
go
he's stepping
away.
down. Yeah, I mean, I think they moved his role up through the end of May. By June, I mean, he's slowly going to move out. And I don't think there's going to be this grand announcement like there was for Ard, but he won't be there in a few months.
Are they going to let the players leave? Is the NCAA going to step in and say, hey, there's no 1-year penalty. You can go wherever you want? I mean, because they did it back, what was it, 2004 when they had the Baylor basketball team.
That's up to Baylor. I think, and the reason I say that, it's Baylor's choice at this point to be harsh on themselves and penalize themselves and put them in a situation where they say, we're not going to have a 2016 season. As crazy as that may sound, that would prevent probably any of these sanctions by the NCAA. Will it happen? Absolutely not. They're going to continue to play the season. Yeah. The NCAA is going to do their investigation, and I think it's going to end up very, very familiar to what Penn State.
Yeah.
All those penalties, and they're going to allow those players to move on at some point.
What's different about this though is the Penn State thing is it's totally different because this is a problem we've heard about before, not on this scale, but we've heard about it, the Florida State situation and all the different things. Is this something that's going on and this is just bringing light to it? Is it going on everywhere?
I think it's going on everywhere, not to this extent where you have 12 separate allegations over a couple of years. You have 2 guys in prison that were on the Baylor team. You have 1 that's pending trial. I mean, to this extent, no. I mean, the most recent thing that I can think of is Florida State with Jameis Winston. You're talking about a he said, she said type case, not to the extent where you have a dozen people complaining about this, where there's 12 different incidents here. No, I don't think we've seen anything like this. I think the only reason that it allowed to go on is because of the perfect storm of the fact that they're here. They're in Texas, and football's supreme here, and that's their baby, and everyone wanted to protect that to the very end. And unfortunately, the very end came this week.
Well, I think that's enough for this time, Phil. Thanks, everyone, so much for tuning in to the pilot of Sports Overserved. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we have. We had a blast here talking to y'all. Make sure you tune in next time. We're going to recap those NBA finals. We're going to dive headfirst into NFL training camp. But in the meantime, you can keep in touch with us by adding Sports Overserved on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Well, Twitter can handle the D without the D.
Oh, yeah. They couldn't take the D. So take off the D on Twitter. It's just Sports Overserve on there. Tell us what you thought about the show, though. What you want us to do on the next show, or maybe you can give the producer an idea for the next show's poison. But don't forget to pick up some 100 Million Angels Singing Double IPAs. It's from the Texas Ale Project. So until next time.
How about them Cowboys?